Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Dubai. Yeah, I'm the person basically keeping away from drinks. Fantastic to have you here today with me. So today I'm going to talk about, a bit outside of the norm, not really about the numbers, not really about the investments, but a bit outside of really on investment side, more of a from a macro perspective. Usually this presentation is an hour, so wouldn't be an hour, it would be far shorter, so we wouldn't have as details as we would like to, but let's continue. A bit of background about myself. I'm a 5 times founder. Two exits. I had the opportunity to actually lead Technation, the third most successful accelerator in the world, with 45 unicorns, companies like Shazam, Deliveroo, The Zilch, and so on. Also been lecturing in multiple different business schools and great companies. I want you to really think about the future today. I really want you to think how our future looks like, right? Just going to give you a few seconds of like imagining how our future, our combined future looks like, right? Because someone has to build it, someone has to fund it, someone has to be those players within those companies that actually build our future. I believe future is bright, and there are many trends that actually build together our future, right? And some of those trends look like this. I don't really have the time to be able to go through each and every one of them, but we'll be going through some of those and scratching the surface. Stephen Hawking famously said that the 21st century is the century of the complexity, and I agree with him. If we look into the decades starting from 1980s to today, we have 1980s really that decade being defined by personal computing. Some of the founders like Steve Jobs, and you have, for example, individuals defining that era. And then we have 1990s. The internet really gave birth to that era in terms of technologies. And we come closer to 2000s, mobile computing. Then we have cloud computing. And this decade is the only decade that really is not defined by a single technology. This is a convergence of several technologies together, and that's what we call deep tech. Well, I want you to start with the biggest hype of all time, especially with our age, AI. But what is AI? I've been in the AI industry, so-called, for the past 15 years. It changes its meaning every few years, and no one yet to agree on what exactly it means. So we're gonna watch my TEDx talk for the next 15 minutes to figure that out. I'm joking. I'm joking. That's a joke. Is it AI? Is it good? Is it bad? We don't really know, right? Some people think of AI as Terminator. I have dealt with so many policymakers that genuinely think that AI is there to kill us, right? So, and you have to really explain to many individuals that come on, that's not the case. There is no Skynet yet to come and kill us all. Quite frankly, AI kind of looks like this, to some sort of a data scientist behind a computer figuring out how those models are actually running. And to them, someone like this is a neural net, quite frankly. But what is AI? It's quite simple. So I take on the Oxford Dictionary, the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks normally required human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and translation. In other words, machine that can simulate human intelligence. So a lot of AI jargon in the world, but I wouldn't really go through them. Quite frankly, the value is here, right? Is the value that is being added to the world GDP. AI, of course, it would replace some of the jobs. It would create amazing companies out there, but the value comes really from the added value to the world GDP here. When we talk about AI, of course, we have ChatGPT. I was fortunate to be one of the alpha users when GPT-3 came out, and I was really amazed going from GPT-2 to GPT-3, and I thought that the world gonna change, and it has changed. But it's not really about ChatGPT. Some of the companies that really surprised me from this region. I came to Dubai around 6 months ago from London. And I thought that I'm not really going to find interesting companies here in AI space. And to my surprise, I got introduced to founders of this company, Falcon's AI. They're the second most downloaded AI platform on the planet, and no one knows about them. They have more downloads than DeepSeek, OpenAI, than Facebook, than Google, and they are the second. You can go and check on Hugging Face, the second most downloaded AI platform with 300 million downloads, and it was founded here in Dubai. I was really surprised. And so I was fortunate to, back this team. And if you're interested to talk about this company, we're actually opening their next round. Happy to have a conversation about this homegrown company, and would love to have further chat. What they do, they block out all of the NSFW content. So all the models that exist out there, they actually use them to be able to block out all the content that shouldn't come up. And especially with the AI explosion, is really needed. Let me talk about AI. We also have autonomous vehicles. I've been in the autonomous vehicle sector for a very long time. It's always a year away. And this is going to continue going further for the next 10 years, I believe. Then this is, I think, is going to come sooner than later. We're going to have an AI board member. We're going to even have an AI CEO, I believe, in one of the Fortune 500 in the next 5 to 10 years. Because we see that this is a movement, especially on utilizing some of the LLMs for decision making within the corporate environment, which I think is, quite frankly, ridiculous. But this is where it's heading right now, especially with some of the decision makers in big corporates. And we're going to soon arrive into where we duplicate ourselves with digital twins of ourselves to be able to do things. I wish that day comes soon, because I don't want to deal with my emails anymore. So we're going to have a digital twin of ourselves to be able to help us in better decision making. And how that might look like, it might look like something like this.
Introduce yourself to everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here today. I'm an AI-generated version of Reid Hoffman, his digital twin. My thinking and everything I am saying comes from a custom GPT that is based on 20 years of Reid talking and making content. So I've read all his books, watched his speeches, and listened to his podcasts. I think it gives me a pretty good sense of how you approach the world, Reid. So first, I'm going to challenge Reid AI with some questions to see what it can do and how good its content is in mirroring what I might say. Then the tables will turn, and I will challenge you with some questions about AI and tech. Of course, there's a second question, whether or not I'll answer. Well, okay, challenge accepted. Let's get started.
So it's interesting. This is what we have today. We've probably heard by now many times individuals talking about agentic AI or AI agents. And I agree. I think, this is where we're heading. This is going to be the key word of AI this year, agentic AI or AI agents. And what's the difference is that by today, many of these LLMs, they couldn't really do things, right? You could just ask them, write me a poem for my girlfriend or something like that. And they couldn't really do much. But now we can actually utilize them with various different other technologies like VMs to be able to actually do things. So many of the low-level jobs go at risk, quite frankly, with these agentic AIs or RPA 2.0s to be able to replace them. And one of the companies we have backed that is quite active in this environment is IME. And IME, what they do quite interestingly is that we spend 1/3 of our, 2/3 of our life at work, right? I've seen, especially in the corporate environment, so many people get stressed and burn out and, leave the corporate environment. Is basically what they built is that they gather the data from your calendar and other set of data like your variables privately, and they fill in the gaps in your calendar with healthy activities that can actually push you forward. Let's say that you have 4 back-to-back Zoom calls, then it gives you 10-minute break, go around, walk, something like that, and it gives you a coach that can actually help you on those steps. Helps you to be able to meditate, helps you to be able to actually have someone that you can talk to, because many of the challenges, especially in the corporate environment, is to do that. And it's agentic. The reason for that is because it actually can do things without you tell them to do things for you to be able to move forward with your healthy living, especially in the corporate environment. All right, let's move to virtual reality. How many people have seen this movie? No one? Really? Ready Player One? One person. All right, four people. All right, so if you talk about VR, that's what really is when you put a headset on and you suddenly transformed into the future. But I was running Intel's innovation lab, and quite frankly, the reality kind of looks like this. I've seen so many people, this happen to them, and it's a tough one, right? Or VR been a very tough market. But something that I'm interested about mostly is AR. AR is actually 10 times bigger as a market than VR. How many people have seen this movie? Free Guy. Yeah, well done. Couple of more. Yeah. So that's what it is. It's when you put a glass on or you use your phone and you can transform different things overlay over reality and play around with different applications. For example, you can go to ski and put on your headsets and get something like this, which is pretty cool. And okay, so the difference between VR, AR, mixed reality, I wouldn't really go through this because of time. But one of the companies that we have recently backed and is super stealthy, and we believe that it's going to be Europe's biggest, one of the biggest unicorns, is Chorizo. And what they do, they have combined basically Pokemon Go with travel and tourism. So when you go visit a city, they actually overlay different activities for you when you visit the city. And I have used them on one of the cities I visited 10 times. I didn't want to go to any of the touristy places, but it really gives you unlimited things to do as a gamification. And the next generation wants something like this for travel. So I'm really happy to see this. It might look like. I mean, again, if you're interested, come and have a chat with me. Happy to introduce you to the founders. Metaverse. We have heard about Metaverse so many times, especially even Facebook changed their main name to Meta a few years back. What is Metaverse? Is it like, having Mark Zuckerberg look at you, watch you while you're playing ping pong? Probably not. And so Meta is not Metaverse. It is definitely not, right? So how we created the internet and so many other players been active in those space, we need to create the underlying overall foundation to be able to create the metaverse, right? But as it's not controlled by a single entity, right? So we have that in the normal internet called ICANN. There's a government of the internet, make sure that all the URLs works and so on. You really don't have that for the metaverse. So it's a long way to be able to arrive there. But what's the hype about? The hype is this. So if you combine Netflix, all the streaming videos, music, box office, all the movies, music, these are crazy, huge industries, still smaller than gaming. So of course, many of the corporates, many of the folks would like to get a piece of that, and for that reason, obviously, is a good way to be able to get that. It's all about preparation for the future, and I'm gonna go after this video what I mean by preparation for the future.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual, but one day, this lecture hall will be made of code. And though they're virtual students, what they'll learn together is real. A surgeon will be able to practice as many times as needed in the metaverse before laying her hands on a real patient. Being able to explore a spacecraft is one thing, but the metaverse will let us go farther than any rocket can take us. In the future, students will be able to take a field trip to ancient Rome, and young artists can learn from a masterpiece. Farmers will one day use augmented reality to help ensure the best yields. And urban planners will be able to model traffic solutions to help decrease commute times. So while the metaverse may be virtual, the impact will be real.
Okay, so what is changing here is that as we move along from the generations from baby boomers to millennials to Gen Zs and Gen Alpha, the shift is shifting from ultimately from a consumption to the creator economy, and we can see this. Why we can see this? We can see this with YouTube. We can see this with Minecraft. We can see this with Roblox. Who thinks like WhatsApp is the most used actually messaging platform on the planet? Hands up. Right? Those people who think it's not, what is it? Number one. Telegram? No, 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 no. It's Roblox. Roblox is the most used in-app, like the in-game communication of Roblox has got more messages sent than WhatsApp. This is the future, right? This is the next generation. And for companies, for VCs, you have to prepare for them, right? These are your future consumers, these are future founders, these are future workers. And that's why you have to prepare for how they consume, how they prepare, and how they grow up. And we can see this because I grew up with internet, and now internet runs the planet. And so therefore, we have to prepare for the next generation as we invest. And one final thing around intelligent mobility, we heard that today hardware is hard, right? But in order to be able to actually make hard things happen, you have to also invest in them. So we've been backing one of those companies. I've heard so many things about EVs, but quite frankly, EVs are kind of like greenwashing. The reason for that is because when you ship a EV from China to US, the carbon emission of shipping is higher than the lifetime of the vehicle. So well done, you bought a EV, but you ended up actually spending more carbon emission on the planet. So we backed a company called Helix, and what they do, they build the micro factories inside where they actually supposed to be supplied. And that really makes sense because you build these small manufacturing units, you don't need to ship them around the world. You keep the local jobs, you expand them, you give them the economies for the emerging markets. And these are the team. Again, if you have any interest of chatting about Helix, they're an amazing team. The CEO of these companies, the person who built the Defender, so he's a famous guy in the automotive sector. So let me know, happy to introduce you to the team. So the verdict, if 2020s, and as Stephen Hawking said, was 2010s was about complexity, I truly believe that this decade and the next one is about interoperability. In other words, it means that the emergence and convergence of technologies together, and what better name for today as emergence of Dubai, when you're converging all of these technologies together, magic happens. And I really want you to think about the future. Think about how that looks like, what we can do in our jobs. Can we actually push the founders who are building the future? Can we help them? Can we make the introductions required? And I really want you to do that. And finally, I want to leave you with this quote from His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. The future does not wait for the hesitant people. The more we achieve, the more we realize how much we can achieve. And you can look around you here, Dubai. 40 years ago, there was nothing here, nothing. It was desert, right? You can see with the vision, with support, and with capital what you can build. So thank you very much. Please feel free to connect with me. Thank you.